Hey, what's up, Pisces? Welcome to this general tarot reading. I apologize if I am a little quiet. I've got some company over, so it's making me a little... It's putting on the anxiety brakes when I try to do these readings. So I apologize if my articulations are a little light. But I still need to do these readings. And I'm happy to get back to Pisces, because in the last video, I think I mentioned that the analytics were down a little bit. The first two Pisces videos were like blowing away the other numbers by far in terms of views. The third one was much lower. So then when this fourth one rolled around, I was a little disappointed. But after giving it some patience, after maybe about a week or whatever, the video is actually up now to like 80 or 90 views. So it took a second for the Pisces to come around, but they showed up again. 3 out of 4, they're still the hardest hitters on my channel in terms of view count. Not exactly view watch length, that still goes to Capricorn. And every once in a while, a Taurus video will keep the viewers, but alas, it is still helpful when it's still interesting to see how Pisces in particular resonates with what I have to say. Alright, so thank you for indulging me on that little sword. I have to remind you that I have to make all the typical disclaimer remarks, so all typical disclaimers are assumed, all non-typical disclaimers are asserted. I'm not responsible for you misusing the truth imparted by this message if it is not meant for you. You need to take what is meant for you, and you need to make sure that you leave the rest for someone else. Make sure to check the timestamps below if you would like to skip to relevant parts of the video, just in case it takes me a lot of time to get the reading rolling. Sometimes it takes a couple cards. Make sure that you check the timestamps for, just in case your patience starts to wear thin hearing me ramble on. I've got some timestamps in there so you can skip around to your heart's desire. Alright, so what else? I'm trying to get another couple cards here before I start the read. Okay. This is kind of interesting. This is... I mean, this can be pretty straightforward in terms of having some kind of, like, just getting tired of the burden of your work is sort of what this is suggesting. But as I've been seeing in the Pisces readings, there's a tendency to, like, sort of bottle up those feelings and not let them shape your external action, which is why you all are also at a 10 of Wands in the upright despite your negative feelings about it. So it's an enduring quality that I've been reading from Pisces who come to my channel. And I think this is, I don't think I've seen this sort of energy since the second reading, but that's what's coming to mind here, is that that energy was someone who, like, they don't let how they feel stop them from their external achievement, even though it's not as pleasant as they might like it to be, or whatever, like whatever the self-concern is, like they're managing to put it aside to be successful in this other environment. The other reads, though, were definitely trying to point the viewer to be like care about themselves a little bit more. You don't have to not care about yourselves completely. That was a big part of what it was suggesting. And here we go again. We've got once again plenty of external action succeeding, but you're like this internal energy. Your internal energy is all turned around. like, and it's not just that it's turned around, it's that you're just kind of accepting that it's turned around. You're not like really struggling against it. You're just kind of, you're almost complacent to your suffering. And that's kind of probably not as severe as it sounds is what's happening, but that's the easiest way to sort of say it. And it's what matches the other energies from the other readings. There's like, you're complacent about not feeling your best. You've like accepted lower standards for yourself, which is bizarre because of how much you can achieve on the outside. And to a certain extent, yes, you're achieving on the outside, but other people achieve on the outside and they get plaudits. And a lot of your readings were like, people just liked that you were doing the work. Their respect for you went for as far as the work went. Whereas with others, they can achieve that stuff, but their respect goes beyond that. Which is part of why I was pointing you away from whatever the situation is. Like, you deserve more respect for this, is really what's coming out here. And then we have a Knight of Cups reversed. So if we assume off the top that's an individual, we're looking at a young male. So, you know, 30 plus, 25, 35, somewhere in that range. If we're just looking at the energy, this is more about just news about bad emotions. Like, this is like bad, maybe not bad, but poor emotions, sad emotions, negative emotions, emotions that do not fulfill your desire coming through for you. And it might even be rather a regular thing. And here we go again with this. Yep. So really strangely, what I was thinking was that you might put all this work in, but then you don't get invited to social situations because you are in this negative emotional energy. And that's almost what the card is just suggesting here. That, like, despite this work, there's always bad news that you're going to be left out in the cold for some reason. Which is, once again, like I'm suggesting, it really feels like you are a workhorse. So you're somebody's workhorse. And you shoulder it because you think that makes you virtuous, and to a certain extent it does. But you damn well better be serving the right people. If you're gonna, like, you better be serving the people who are going to appreciate you the most. And that means the people that would actually invite you out to these things. Or the people that would respect you beyond the work, not just respect you for the work. So interesting how this is coming out here. We have discussed this before, but unfortunately I remember the message. The universe was suggesting that if you start to act differently, that these people who had you locked in as their workhorse, so to speak, are all of a sudden going to like get butthurt and be like, they're going to start denominating you pretty hard. So it's like, that was I remember that suggestion, because you had a choice whether or not you wanted to take that route or just kind of stay in your complacency. And by you, it could mean a lot of different people. So a lot of you could be still in this situation. Whoa. So that's interesting. That you're, once again, so that's a good mentality to have, because you are okay, so how come then, if you are this internally confident, how come you are this emotionally disrupted? That's a little strange. If your success speaks for itself and you actually know that, then what's got you held up on feeling good about this? What's the deal with that? I would imagine the energy is sort of a depressed individual, but a lot of times that depression comes with the idea that you're not good enough. And Nine of Pentacles is all about understanding you're good enough. Embodying it, because your material success can't allow you to think anything else. It's undeniable even within yourself that. But then we have Ten of Pentacles reverse showing up. Very weird. Once again, this is a sign of your gullibility, not your gullibility, but your, to a certain extent, your gullibility, your gracious nature. It's another sign it's not serving you for some reason. It's another sign that you are... Man, I don't... Yeah, it's weird having this Nine of Pentacles, but all of this negative energy. That, in my own personal experience, but I'm an earth sign, I am a Capricorn, so like, maybe that's why it would work for, it works for me, but if I was ever to achieve this Nine of Pentacles, I would be empowered. It would empower me. Not just that I had the material on the outside, but the shield against invasion of my own well-being is part of what this card is suggesting. Your well-being should be shielded when you are achieving this Nine of Pentacles. So when I see you in Five of Pentacles and Ten of Pentacles reversed around it, that's definitely strange. It is very strange to see this, especially if you are successful, like Eight of Wands, Ten of Wands successful, which is the Nine of Wands is... Okay, so now we have the Emperor in reverse. That's weird. Man, that is just... The first thing that came to mind was that there's a father figure that takes your money. And that's why you're not enjoying your material success as much as you should be. Because somebody else is a drain on your... They're a drain on your finances, basically. So that's definitely interesting. That's the first thing that came to mind. It could also be a business partner. Like, some kind of, like, you know, it could... Any kind of authority figure that, for whatever reason, you have some kind of reason to give them money. Or some kind of reason to help them materially. They are unhealthily draining your financial situation, basically. And that's very disappointing because the Emperor in reverse is like, it's somebody who's been granted authority. It's not necessarily that they deserve authority, so because they don't have real capacity to achieve of their own volition, it's all just what their authority produces for them. There's a certain type of insecurity that comes from that, and that can breed some inefficiency, and that can require more financial support because they aren't producing things of their own volition. So it's very strange, very disappointing. Speaks to work and home tribulation. So that's very weird. So I had these two cards, but I don't know if these are going to be good or not. Like, I'm going to put them back in here. They're okay, but one of them was actually kind of interesting. Maybe to a certain extent. Okay, I have this coming out now for the Nine of Pentacles. We've got Five of Swords. So that's weird. Well, no, it's not exactly. It's weird in the traditional context of the card, but in my personal understanding of the card, from my own resonance, it's another sign of success. It's another sign of you seeing the true path forward when others do not. And when they do not see the path forward, they're inclined to leave you behind because they think that they're right, but in reality you are correct. So even though this card is supposed to be it's very traditionally called a card of defeat, but I have a very different personal resonance, and my personal resonance is, as I suggested in this instance with it in the upright, it's a sign that you actually are, it's a very good synergy with the Nine of Pentacles, because the reason you can move forward is because you don't have to listen to their fear, because your experience knows better. Your experience that got you to the Nine of Pentacles successfully based off your own power is why you can see this path ahead even if it's difficult. And weaker souls will leave you behind if they are too afraid of the journey, if they're too afraid of the learning curve, if they're too afraid of the personal growth, you know, take your pick. Ouch. Very strange, though, because now we have the Six of Wands in reverse for you. So as soon as I was piping on about some victory here, it's showing defeat. And on clarifying this Five of Pentacles, it's almost as if you're... So here we go, what we've got is your personal ability to succeed is relying on you maybe stepping on some other people's toes, because if you don't, those people are going to lead you all down an inefficient path. The problem is, if you don't do that tactfully, you are going to get the social realm pissed off with you at work. And that's how you can get into this situation of being the workhorse, but having no social capacity at work, because you hurt somebody's feelings. So if they're social enough, they can play the social game and get you rectified for that. And if you aren't social in your own right, you're not in a position to defend yourself. So that sociality from that individual or those individuals goes up the chain. And that's part of why, and it goes around, so the socialites don't feel inclined to invite you to things as much. Because you have a reputation for doing two things. You're doing one thing, but it's seen from two angles. On one hand, you are succeeding for the greater good of this process. The problem is that sometimes you have to let other people know that their idea is not in fact as good as your idea, and that it would not be a good idea to do that plan based off your experience. Therefore, you aren't going to do that plan. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're not doing it because you know better. But if they're of a certain ilk of individual, they will take that to the social mill, and it will grind against you if you do not understand how to stand up for yourself in a certain way. And so that is how this victory can yield this other defeat outside of your raw material achievability. And it's how you can turn into the workhorse, because you are basically like, everybody starts to socialize behind your back, and then once something tough comes around, they make sure that you're the first one that gets a crack at it. Like, they socially position against you. And a lot of times you're stuck like carrying this Ten of Wands around, and then you're not even invited to social things, or you're not even emotionally well tended to necessarily. Like I said, it's as far as the work goes. And if there are people that you turned around, even the work is only a temporary foil for their true feelings. Which means, and that speaks to exactly what was going on like 2 readings ago. There were these people that were not really there for you. They were there for them. And it was about what you could do for them. And unfortunately, well, it's just so weird though in this reading, because you have 9 of Pentacles. A 9 of Pentacles individual shouldn't be taking no shit from no one. So I don't know if you are maybe... So, okay, so an interesting thing here is you do have wind energy on this 9 of Pentacles, which does diminish its quality a little bit, because wind diminishes earth. Earth diminishes wind, one way or the other. So even though they synergize, it's not a great pair in that capacity. But neither is all the surrounding energy. So like your 9 of Pentacles is like, geez, like I would imagine, like I said, I would imagine myself, if I were in that situation, being able to deal with all of this stuff. But you are a water sign, I'm an earth sign, so perhaps there's a smidge of just a different resonance with that. Because the sign here is that it's not exactly enough. It's enough to get your career, your material producibility validated, but you're running into like intersocial issues is really what I'm seeing. And those are the things that really hurt your heart more. because you're not hurt about your ability to achieve things. You can achieve things just fine, looks like. Your problem is other people, big time. Which is bizarre because you should have more respect, in my opinion, than what I'm seeing here. So, Knight of Cups reversed. Now this could be you because you're a water sign. Let's see what this is for you. The Star reversed. Aquarius energy, interesting, because that did not come out in the Aquarius read, but now it's coming out here. Okay, so this is clarifying what I was suggesting about dashed hopes. The star on the upright is about being filled with hope, being filled with light. It's like the sun, a little more indirectly, is sort of how the energy plays out. So like the light of the sun is still present in this star card, even though it's a little more indirect. So it is about like proper internal momentum, like optimistic momentum, but it's in the reverse here, so you're like, your hope is shattered. And that's what I was suggesting here, is like, this individual was hoping, this energy is hoping for something good, but in the reverse energy, that those hopes are dashed. And the star reverse is just clarifying that, because the hopes are based on faultiness for some reason. And we even have the Six of Wands over here in reverse, signifying more defeat. Very, very somber about whatever this message delivered was, because the Knight of Cups can signify an individual, but when it's clarified by something like the Eight of Wands, the energy of the message is more specifically what this is trying to pull out of here. So there's a good shot that this could be you in your energy. If you feel like this, then it makes sense. It could be even somebody else. Maybe this is another water sign who had to, maybe it's like your friend who had to tell you that, hey, we need you to like work late, but we're all going out or something, or hey, no, we're not really going out, or we're going out, but you're not invited. Just everything along those lines. It could be you, but it also could be an individual delivering the message. This message does not make you feel good at all. The energy surrounding it is like, and it's disappointing because the energy coming into it is Eight of Wands. So there should have been success here. It should have been news you wanted to hear. You were anticipating better news, and it left you very disappointed, for sure. And to clarify Eight of Wands, we've got Hierophant. Interesting. So now we have 555 on the board. And I'm still working on my, we have 5555. We have 5555 actually. Now that I just noticed that. So I need to double check. I need to double check what that means at some point. But so yeah, it's very strange here. Once again, this energy starts to turn around once we get back into it being just focused on the work, deliverability. But everything else about this reading, the emotional quality is very, very tainted. Definitely very tainted. Hierophant, that's sticking to conventional wisdom. So that might be sort of speaking to the idea that you keep assuming that your hard work will eventually earn you their respect. Because that's maybe what was something that you always thought was true. Or maybe that was something that was like ingrained into you as a young person. Because the Hierophant is the signifier of following convention, and that convention serving you. So you were under the impression that you were going to be served by this effort, and you are to some extent, but it's also misplaced. So it's not saying that necessarily the philosophy is bad, but there is something else running amok here is part of the issue. And as a young person who can understand, some people take judgment upon themselves differently than other people. Some people, you judge them with like the truest truth about them, and they won't give a crap about that they act that way, and they'll think about something else, and they'll reframe the situation, and their bad never gets to them. But with some people, the judgment they take very seriously, and they'll actually, and it could be the mildest little tiny thing about them, but they'll take it super serious to really like to really like analyze their weakness. And unfortunately, those two type of people have a little synergy going on in our culture, where the people who block out the self-reflection are weirdly using the people that do self-reflect as a, what I call an emotional scapegoat. We just had 2 clarifiers fly out. Oh, look at that. So I really want to go like this. I really want to put this here, but I'm going to go like this because that's how they flipped out. Yeah, okay, so what I was, okay, so let me try to finish that point succinctly here. There's basically a spectrum where one side of the spectrum, it doesn't matter how severe their behavior is, they will never ever ever self-reflect on it. And they will only ever reframe the situation to something that doesn't have to pay attention to their weakness. On the other side of the spectrum, we've got people who are extremely self-reflective, and they'll take the littlest little thing about themselves and they will internalize it and focus on it. And the problem in this duality is the fact that the individual who's full of shit never ever embodies that bullshit, and they just get to reframe themselves into good, and they move forth with a sort of confidence that they never have to bear the burden of their behavior. And the reason they never have to bear the burden of their behavior is because they have the emotional scapegoats on the other side, the people who self-reflect so hard. So what happens is when you get the self-reflectors and the non-reflectors together, anytime the non-reflector fucks up, they find a way to twist it onto the self-reflector, and the self-reflector actually takes upon them that criticism, and it deflates the non-reflector's need to face the situation. And so instead of the true sinner being faced down for their darkness, they have this little trick going on where they get to hoist it onto you because they know that you will self-reflect and that you'll take it on yourself because you're good. And the problem is that too many good people don't understand this little dynamic. And the good people who have always self-reflected have continued to build a pile of bad about themselves. And that creates this habit of not thinking good about yourself. But that's exactly where the non-reflector needs you to be, because that means that they can just keep heaping on more of their bullcrap on you. And then, you know, they wonder why they have these people who, like, snap. And the reason they snap is because the whole time they're getting heaped on, their spirit is trying to tell them that, no, they're not as bad as they're thinking. And eventually their spirit finally gets through and they react. And even though our laws put those people down a lot, spirit is on their side because they're getting used by darkness. And the type of people who don't reflect, they also get a lot of perks from life because certain people reward that behavior. And then the same people weirdly wonder, well, where'd all the good people go? Well, the good people went over here self-reflecting, and they've turned into these emotional scapegoats for these D-bags who won't self-reflect and are just full of crap. And they think their sacred virtue is to never have to ever face themselves. And like I said, there's a spectrum, so everybody kind of falls in on the spectrum at different places. I myself am a massive self-reflector. And I'm like, right now, I'm much better about considering myself. But historically, I was an extreme self-reflector and an extreme taker. I took upon myself those negative energies a lot. Because that was the good in me. And the good in me, who's always trying to be stronger for everyone else, and who's always trying to be stronger to deal with these issues in life, is extremely sensitive to my own weakness. And it's my goal to eviscerate that with all my heart and soul. So anytime anybody would come up with something, it's like, ah, crap. You know, you'd face it, and if there was even a smidge of truth in it, then you know, my mental momentum would roll with that. And it can derail me from this other power that the non-reflectors understand, which is that if you put that negativity aside and focus on your good, you get a different momentum from life, because spirit wants you to see what's good in you. And when you're seeing what's good in you, that means you're acting out of your optimism, and your soul empowers you because you're actually acting in well-being. And if you're doing that just right, like your thoughts and your heart are on the same page, and your whole experience is proliferated, sort of. The problem, though, is we've got these people over here who, like, have this weird little trick they do where certain people get to hold their emotional baggage, and they never have to learn how to actually embrace themselves properly because they never self-reflect. And everything gets to be somebody else's fault. And unfortunately, there's certain people that, and they don't even respect these people for taking this on. They think they're weak for doing this. So that's the big trick. That's another part of the trick, is they, like, it's like a little game they fucking have. They know what they're doing. And they'll conveniently use others. It speaks to their darkness. And I'm seeing it in your reading here. Like, I'm seeing that you are of that quality that is self-reflective like that, but you're also seeming to be misimparted about the respect you're going to be getting. And the reason that it's not coming together is because kind of what I'm seeing here is you've got to understand that you're a convenient workhorse that they also like to pick on because you'll be one, or because you also put them down, which, like, exponentially increases their desire to put you down and to do this dark stuff to you. So, like, and to take this even a step deeper, the hardest part about this is sometimes these people don't even realize consciously what they're doing. They've just found that resonance, and they've found how it serves them, and they just never turned back. They never looked back. There are like whole societal sects that empower these individuals. So it's very tricky getting onto this topic because it speaks true to my heart to a certain extent. I really can't stand these individuals who are so willing to, like, use other people's weakness like that. It's very non-constructive. It's very disempowering. It's very conniving. It is every way that shows that you aren't capable of loving your fellows. You're not willing to put anyone else first. It's very selfish behavior. And it's very self-centered in the respect, I get it, that they're not interested in focusing on their bad because it makes them feel bad inside. But somebody else doesn't have to feel extra bad because you don't want to feel you're bad. Give me a break on that shit. And in my oh so humble opinion, I think we're long overdue for a real reckoning on these people. And it's going to be individuals like me, individuals like whomever is bearing these wands, that really start to change the landscape. And the way we change the landscape is by taking up our own power. And it's by no longer allowing these people to get away with this against us. So that's kind of me rambling on. Oh, so now we have 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5 5. We have 5 5 in this reading right now. I'm definitely gonna have to go check my numerology because that's quite a bit. 5 5 9 9 10 10 10 and 9 of Pentacles and Wands. It's interesting. 5 by 5. I'll have to go check what that is. So let me see here. We're looking at, okay, so this is kind of interesting. So we're looking at the 5 of Wands on the 10 of Wands. So that is a sign that you might even be you might be a leader to some extent, or maybe not a leader, maybe not a legal senior member of, like, your company or your group, like a legally promoted individual, but you're somebody who your success is kind of reliant on being able to get to the heart of the matter to really solve the problem. That's what this is suggesting. And that matches with this Five of Swords, because this Five of Swords victory, once again, it's sort of achieved by like stepping on other people's ideas when the best idea is necessary. And that's sort of what the Five of Wands is all about. The Five of Wands is all about certain people's ideas getting put to the side so the best of all the ideas can serve everybody. And that requires some serious emotional work, because individuals have to maybe get their egos bruised. But the thing is with both of these in the upright, with Five of Swords in the upright and Five of Wands in the upright, that's a sign that you are actually able to achieve that successfully. And that you are actually able to push through, because some of the other readings, they don't get that. They get the Five of Wands in reverse, and it's clarifying like other blocked energies, and that's a sign that everybody's too afraid to make that happen. So this is very disappointing, because this quality of yours is extremely valuable, but it's still setting people off the wrong way, which is very petty. But that pettiness is also where I was talking with these non-reflectors. The non-reflectors they're petty. They're at least half petty. But they don't have to face any of that by making us face it for ourselves and them. You got to keep that in mind. Because you might think it's virtuous to put that on yourself, but your spirit's not exactly going to go along with you on that one. Spirit's fine with them putting it on you, but spirit's not fine with you letting them. Is unfortunately how this works. They get to put it on you because they're focusing on their optimism, and spirit allows them to put it on you. But you can't take it. And if you do, you're going to be running into some of these emotional issues. So we also have Nine of Wands showing up for you. Clarifying this, it's a little strange. Once again, it's a sign of personal strength, but you're like bottling up how you feel about it. Same thing with Nine of Pentacles, like surrounded by, or following the Disappointed card. Like you have this Nine of Pentacles capacity, but it's diminished to a smidgen. So your personal capacity is not in question here. It's not in question. And this Four Wands, 5, 8, 9, 10 is pointing to, besides for this over here, but this is a little different. This is more about this social thing. You've got 4 workplace cards that are all in the upright. And they're very powerful. 8, 9, and 10 for Wands. That's extremely successful career energy. Being able to pull off this 5 of Wands in the upright, that's successful career energy. That is a skill. That is a workplace skill, and that's something that a lot of companies are having trouble facilitating because woke has gotten into the culture. And woke is not about being good like this. Like, it can't stand the stepping on other people's toes. So maybe you're in a corporate environment, and the wokesters are pissed off that you're succeeding. They're non-reflectors. That's what the left's whole thing is they never have to look at their weakness. So, like, that's the exact type of people, and they're socialites. So if you're in some kind of corporate setting where there's a bunch of leftist socialites, and you're, like, stepping on their toes, they're going to be going behind your back in their own toxicity, and they're going to be trying to muck your day up. Especially if you're of a conservative bent. So that's very interesting. I don't know if you're political at all, but this is reeking of leftist corporatism. No, it doesn't matter how much you succeed, those people can't stand that. They can't stand the success because they themselves don't have to ever be successful because they're non-reflective. Other people are their success. And they need people like you to provide that for them. So that's really what's ringing through here. It's like a very political corporate environment. And those are the last people, those are the last of the last people I want you serving with your power. If you have this much personal capacity, if they're not going to respect you for your effort. So it's very disappointing to hear that. I don't know. It would be very interesting to have more details on this matter. But that's it. That's all I can really glean from this. This is matching a lot of the other Pisces readings I've done. So maybe you're a return viewer, but it's in the same mold of energy. Like this extremely successful. Here, I'm gonna do my conclusion sign here. It's in the same mold of energy. There's a very successful individual that can achieve through their own power. Their own results speak for themselves. But they like bottle up a lot of emotionality about how they feel doing this. And other people, there's even signs that other people they care about you conditionally. They care about you as long as the work keeps coming through for them. The second the work stops coming through for you, the second your usefulness has reached its end, they are not interested in you. They never were. That's validated in this reading, and it was even more validated in past Pisces readings. You know what you have to do to make this difference, but you know what you have to lose at the same time. And maybe you think this makes you virtuous. It's never virtuous to serve darkness. Even though our world has us convinced that what we're serving isn't darkness. A lot of times it is. We're not allowed to say that fact. Because the good people get used too often by dark souls. As long as that is the case, I'm interested in saying something about it. So anytime an energy like this comes out in the reading, I'm going to spit these words out. I'm going to step on those dark patterns when I see them. Because if you're actually of this quality of individual, then you deserve much better than this. And you've deserved it in every single reading I've done so far. You understand what you have to do differently. That's a decision ultimately that is up to you. Spirit has not necessarily pointed you one way or the other in this reading or the last reading. It left it up to you. And it's being left up to you again. Because once again, you've got this divide of some good, but some not so good with this situation. And you've got to weigh your own pros and cons on that and see what you want to do. Because this is hella career success, hella. Outside of you, like, kind of bottling up how it makes you feel, it's all pretty good. Even though maybe you're getting, even though it's monotonous for you, the quality of work is there. So much that you even have a 9 of Pentacles showing up for you. Which means that you understand a lot of this to a certain extent. So, and honestly, this is like the best energy to fight these people. Because they can only fight you with when you don't believe in your own real strength. So when you have real strength to fall back on, these people shouldn't be getting to you. The only thing you need to do now, I would say, is they probably don't get you down in general, but you're not doing anything proactive to reframe them. So it's your opportunity here to sort of control the narrative, as it said. And you don't have to go toxic about it, but you can stand on your own laurels and you can speak from your own success and your own achievement. And you get to notice what's good in you. You don't have to think it's brash to notice when you're good and call out when you do good. It might not be a skill you're used to if you're not used to being cocky like that, if you're not used to being outspoken about your own quality. But if you want to stay in the situation, that would do you wonders. It would do you wonders to put these people in their place a little differently than you're used to, probably. And like I said, you don't have to put them down, but you absolutely should not let them put you down. Definitely don't let that happen. Like, just because, for one thing, you have the Nine of Pentacles. People would kill to have this Nine of Pentacles to deal with these people. So it's very, very interesting that the universe has dealt this situation where you have the Nine of Pentacles and then you're not even using it. Like I would love to have the Nine of Pentacles. It's still a dream of mine. I dream for it because of how hard that negative energy can hold me down. It still holds me down. So you have an opportunity here. Maybe you didn't understand that before this. But you're like the last person who should be being affected by these people, really. It might take some practice to like get used to the energy, because I know with me, whenever they get me real good and I really start to hate myself for real, like hard, really hard, I can be out for weeks. And I can be in a downward spiral for weeks. And historically, you know, it's even longer historically. So like over the years, I've gotten better and better at like turning that around on the spot. And now it's down to like maybe 10 minutes. I can turn around something pretty severe. But before that, it was always longer and longer, to the point where like I couldn't even defend myself from it. So like, and that's just with heart transmutation. You have the ability to actually just use your material success to help you turn that around. So you definitely have an opportunity to do that. All right, Pisces, I think I'm going to cut it here. I think we're on the same page on this, because it's the same energy I've been seeing in the last couple of readings. So that's also why I'm very heartfelt about this, because even in those reads, I really wanted to see you leave these people behind. But the choice was yours whether to do that or not, so here we are. All right, Pisces. Take care and good luck with this. Thank you very much.